So getting back to that whole way forward collecting goal, they released a lot of games for the Nintendo DS. Looney Tunes Duck Amuck, which is a bunch of little mini games, kind of like WarioWare. Thor God of Thunder, which like the also way forward developed Contra 4, is a great platforming action game that takes up both screens. For a game based on Thor, this is actually kind of fantastic. American Dragon, Jake Long, Attack of the Dark Dragon. I guess this one is based on a Disney cartoon, another one I have never heard of and don't care to ever see. But it's a 3D action game. Sometimes you're on foot, sometimes you're riding a dragon. It's okay. Where the Wild Things Are. It's like a puzzle platformer. Graphics are actually really, really nice for the DS. Gameplay, it's okay. But the one that's the real winner here is Batman the Brave and the Bold, the video game. This is like an all-encompassing DC Universe game. It's a side-scrolling beat-em-up with some puzzle elements in there, and you can swap out between other characters in the DC Universe that you'll pick up as you go along. Great platforming. It's fun. The graphics are nice. The music is cool. And if you hook this up to the Wii and play the Wii version of this game, you can play as a new character. Batmite. Whatever. This is one awesome underrated game. Outside of the way forward stuff, Windy X Wyndham, which is a fighting game not unlike Guilty Gear. Radical Reggie actually turned me on to this one. He did a review of it on his channel, and I thought it looked pretty rad, so I actively went out looking for a copy, even though he said that the price of it had been going up and up and up, and I managed to find one that is brand new and still sealed that was not super expensive. So my superpower of catching people slipping on eBay has not faded one iota.
You're riches! Better recognize!
Castlevania Order of Ecclesia, which is the final game in the Nintendo DS versions of Castlevania that I needed to get the whole set. And yeah, now I can play through all of these games in a row and catch up on all the awesome Metroidvania goodness. Kingdom Hearts Recoded, Final Fantasy XII Revenant Wings. This was when Square was like always spinning off their major Final Fantasy games. Did we really need Final Fantasy X too? No. But we got a sequel to Final Fantasy XII for some reason, which is a game in the series that not a lot of people like. I do. And because of that fact, I said I needed to have this. Not sad. Square Enix was having another one of those clearance sales on their website, and by the time I got around to going there to see what they had available, a lot of the stuff I would have wanted, like Chrono Trigger for the DS, was completely sold out again. But I did manage to get Final Fantasy, The Four Heroes of Light, and Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles Echoes of Time, another RPG. Mega Man Powered Up. It's like your typical Mega Man game, although it's been like super deformed, where, you know, the characters have a huge head. Not sure if I enjoy it or not. It plays like a Mega Man game. It feels like Mega Man. It's just the way the graphics are, and everything's cartoony and very simple looking. It's like a kiddie version of Mega Man. Something that a 10-year-old can just pick up and play and not get super frustrated and throw their PSP across the room and break it, making their parents all pissed off, grounding the kid. They grow up resenting their parents, rob a liquor store, and get put in jail for 10 years. Thanks, Mega Man. I was talking about that Batman Brave and the Bold game for the DS. Well, I do have the Wii version as well, which was also developed by WayForward. As much as I love that DS game, this Wii version, woo! It's a totally different game, but yet the same. Does that even make any sense? Obviously, the graphics, the sound, the play control is greatly improved over the DS version. You can team up with Green Lantern and Aquaman and all these other DC characters. It is awesome. I love it. Come on, Plastic Man's on the cover. You can't go wrong.
Electricity's awesome.
Mario and Sonic at the London 2012 Olympic Games. It's a bunch of sports minigames. The Core Gang, The Outvasion from Inner Earth. Huh? It feels like an interactive cartoon, which is pretty amazing. I like this game a lot. It is very fun. It is very unique. It kind of reminds me a little bit of Psychonauts, which is not a bad thing at all. This is one of those great undiscovered games for the Wii. Watchmen, The End is Nigh, Parts 1 and 2. It's a 3D beat-em-up where you can either play as Night Owl or Rorschach. Originally, these were just digital games. You downloaded them through Xbox Live, and I was not willing to do that, although I did download the demo. And I thought, yeah, it's a little clunky, but it was also kind of cool. So when I found this for like $3 at GameStop, I said, sure, why not? Lost Odyssey, which is one of the supposedly great RPGs of the Xbox 360. But man, this sucker comes on 4 discs, yo. I tried it out just to see if the discs were okay, and this is one gorgeous looking game, dude. I cannot wait until I can actually have some time to set aside to play this from beginning to end. Earth Defense Force 2017. Very cool, twitchy game. I love Earth Defense Force. I'm not sure if this is the first one in the series or not, but I did have one of them back in the day, and it was a lot of fun, and I ended up selling it because I got kind of sick of playing it because it's very repetitive, but nowadays I'm kind of like, That's alright. It's all about the fun factor, and this game has that in spades. Hey, Dragoon Loggy, remember this? Castlevania Lords of Shadow 2. 3D Castlevania on the modern day consoles. It's like a love it or hate it type of an affair. Personally, I love it. Lords of Shadow I thought was very cool, very fun. Even got a very cool game on the 3DS, which is like a Metroidvania game. So I haven't played the second one yet because I never did beat the original. I'm gonna have to go back and do that so I can play this. I will probably never play this next game. But I had to have it because A, trying to get all the games based on this license, and number 2 is kind of like a funny talking point. Connect Star Wars.
Oh my god!
Yes, I have a Kinect. Did I ever really use it? Once or twice. My living room isn't exactly big enough to be able to use it properly, so I just ended up putting it back in a box and throwing it into my closet. The real reason I wanted to buy this game is because of the Dance Central portion of the game. Oh, you know what I'm talking about.
Oh hell no!
I don't know if that's cool or not. I have discovered the wonderful world of import games on the PlayStation 3. Never knew that it was a region-free console, so importing to it is quite easy. You managed to snag Vampire Resurrection off of Amazon, of all places. This is actually Darkstalkers 3. You do get the second and third games in the series on one disc, which is pretty awesome, and it's still as fun as it's ever been. I missed this series. It needs to make a comeback. I managed to get a copy of Strider. Yes, this game came out in the US. Not physically. This was another one of those games that was digital download only. And I ain't having that. Got a physical release in Japan and Japan only. Great side-scrolling action game. Feels like Strider reborn for a new generation, as cheesy as that sounds. The thing that sucks about this, though, is there's a lot of DLC available for this game that would be really cool to play, but you can't really get it because you have to have a Japanese PSN account to do it, so... Boo. But on the non-import side of things, Bladestorm, The 100 Years' War, Atelier, I don't know how to pronounce it. I say Atelier because I think it sounds remotely French.
Sacre bleu!
Atelier Maruru, The Apprentice of Arland. Big-ass RPG where it's mostly all about using magic, which I enjoy. Don't know if I'll ever have time to set aside to play through this entire series of games, which I hear has gone on for way too long. But whatever. Tekken 6, not the biggest Tekken fan, but... whatever. Iron Man, Thor, not developed by WayForward, I might add. Hunted, The Demon's Forge, which is kind of a strange game from Bethesda. You know, they usually release these epic open-world RPGs that everybody loves. This is just this kind of like action beat-em-up type game. Gotta do some different things to keep things fresh at the office, wouldn't you say? Ratchet & Clank Into the Nexus and Ratchet & Clank Future Tools of Destruction. After playing the PlayStation 4 reboot of the series, I've kind of gotten really into playing Ratchet & Clank. Never really played them back in the day when they were first released for the PS2, but I'm trying to rectify that. Arcana Hearts 3, Love Max! There's a lot of exclamation points there, people. I got turned on to the first game in the series, which came out for the PS2, in a Metal Jesus video where Radical Reggie was the guest, and they're talking about fighting games, and that was one they brought up, and I thought it looked really cool, so I picked it up, and... lo and behold, it was kind of awesome. I don't know where part 2 is, but I managed to snag part 3, which is still unopened, and I got for, I think, a whopping $10. And then here's another one that Radical Reggie got me interested in, and I just happened to randomly see him streaming it on Facebook. I watched him play it for about 10 minutes, and I'm like, that looks fantastic. The animations were great, the special moves were really cool and flashy, the music was phenomenal, and it just looked flat out fun since, you know, I love fighting games. I mean, come on, I did a video with Reggie about fighting games. So when I asked him about the game, he said that it was a low print run, there wasn't a whole lot of copies available, and that you could probably find it pretty cheap some places if you find a used one. So that day, I called around to all the GameStops in the area, found a copy at one specific store by where I work. Super happy that I went through the effort to get it. Under Night in Birth EXE Late. Don't know what that last part's about, but It's an awesome 2D fighting game like Street Fighter that's anime influenced, and it is so much fun. Oh my god, this is like... you want to talk about a diamond in the rough fighting game? Right here. Every character is fun to play with an awesome array of moves. The animation is just smooth and fluid, so colorful. And there's a sequel coming out for the PlayStation 4 pretty soon that you can pre-order on PlayAsia right now. Do it. Another game I picked up at that Square Enix website sale, Final Fantasy Explorers. Might be going out on a limb here, but I think this might be an RPG. Shh, don't tell anyone. Super Street Fighter 4 3D Edition with this awesome lenticular cover. How rad is that? It's a pretty decent port of Street Fighter 4. I mean, you gotta understand, it's on a handheld, which is not designed to play fighting games like this, but for what it is, it's pretty impressive. Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon, which is the second game in the series. The original GameCube game went from being absolutely hated when it was first released to getting a sequel on the 3DS, which everybody loves. Go figure. And another WayForward developed game, which is crazy cool, people. Regular Show, Mordecai and Rigby in 8-bit land. Basically, it's an 8-bit styled platformer mixed with a shmup that takes place in the Regular Show universe, which is a cartoon I have never watched and probably never will. That seems to be a theme tonight. This one's actually really cool. Killer Instinct Definitive Edition. This is Killer Instinct Season 1, 2, and 3 all on one disc. Also includes the Shadow Lords story mode. Yes, I had the original release, which I picked up when I bought my Xbox One. Luckily, I did not spend any money on anything extra in that game. I was just playing with what was on the disc. When I found out they're releasing this Definitive Edition, I got kind of mad. I'm like, why do you guys have to keep on doing this double dipping shit? Just release everything at once and don't try to gyp your customers. But the main reason I wanted to pick this up wasn't because of this modern redo of Killer Instinct, which I will admit is pretty fantastic and fun. It's because it has the original arcade versions of Killer Instinct 1 and 2 available on here from the start, which is something I've been looking forward to playing since the original was released in the early 90s. Super freaking thrilled, dude. So getting back to those goals that I had set when I got my tax return, which, you know, one was buying all those TurboGrafx 16 and PC Engine games. The other one was the Wii U was on the way out. So I wanted to pick up as many games for that console before they start disappearing and the price starts going up because all of a sudden they're collectible. So I went after all the ones that I wanted to add to the collection. I don't want a whole complete collection, not even close. There's maybe like 15, 20 games that I really wanted to get before calling it a quits on the Wii U. And I managed to get most of them. Xenoblade Chronicles X, which is a sequel to the Wii game, which I do believe was an exclusive that was only available at GameStop. I understand it is a very, 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 very long RPG. Tokyo Mirage Sessions, #FE. It's a strategy RPG that mixes Fire Emblem and Shin Megami Tensei in one game, and it all has to kind of do with dancing. Sounded so bizarre, I said I had to have it because I'm assuming that eventually this will become kind of a hot commodity. Nobody really played this when it was released, and yeah, I can see why, because that is one weird-ass concept, but I'm willing to give it a shot. Tekken Tag Tournament 2 Wii U Edition. Like I've said, not the biggest fan of Tekken, but gotta have at least one other fighting game that isn't Smash Brothers on my Wii U. Runbow Deluxe Edition. This has the original game in it, all the DLC that was available, which gives you extra levels and characters and whatnot, and not one, but two different soundtracks. I haven't played it yet, but I watched some gameplay footage, and it looks kind of like a Flash game, but it's like a platformer where it's competitive. You can play like 9 people at the same time on the same console. That is kind of insane.
Insane?
Pokken Tournament, which is now being re-released on the Switch, and everyone had a frickin' shit fit. If you don't want it on the Switch, then don't buy it. Let Nintendo know you don't want your precious console to be nothing but a bunch of Wii U ports. But getting back to Pokken Tournament, it's Tekken meets Pokemon. Technically, there are two different franchises I'm not a fan of. But when you mix them together, it's actually kind of fun. Deus Ex Human Revolution Director's Cut. Fast and Furious Showdown, which everyone says is kind of like an uncommon game for the Wii U and it's hard to find, but every time I seem to walk into a GameStop out here, I find at least 2 copies sitting there, so...
You're full of shit.
Sonic Lost World. And here's what's probably going to end up being one of the final games released for the Wii U. Darksiders War Mastered Edition. This game has been in the making for I don't know how long, but it's been delayed over and over and over again, and I hear people complaining about it all the time, and now it is finally out. This released as a $20 game, so I said, why not? Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. This game scares me. I haven't opened it yet, because diving into a Legend of Zelda open world game might just suck every drop of life out of my body, and probably a lot of time too. It's just that it sounds like it's such a daunting game that I don't want all of my free time to be dedicated toward this game because I know that's exactly what's going to happen. Which means it'll be like, I can't wait to get home from work so I can play some Breath of the Wild and then play until the wee hours of the morning and then only get an hour of sleep before I got to go back to work. Cycle starts anew.
Oh, Jabba the Hutt looking white bitch!
Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Winter Games, Sochi 2014. Bunch of sports mini games, just like the Wii Olympics game. But then I picked this one up and everyone's like, you just got one of the rarest Wii U games available. Mario and Sonic at the Rio 2016 Olympic Games. Apparently this This came out in time for the Olympics and then was pulled not long after they ended for some reason. Nintendo just halted production on it completely, and it became this really sought-after commodity for some reason. Nobody gives a crap about these Olympic games that feature Mario and Sonic, ever. But for some reason, this one became the one that everyone needed to have. It's just a bunch of mini games. Nothing special. Luckily, I didn't pay that much for it. They're all from limited run games. Aqua Kitty, Milk Mine Defender DX, Curses and Chaos, and Ray Gigant, which is a really massive RPG from what I can tell. And the fighting system sounds really weird because it's rhythm-based, so it's kind of like a music game and an RPG? I guess I'm a little obsessed with the PS4. Yeah. This stack here. With my tax return, I did end up buying a PS4 Pro. I am going to be buying a 4K TV pretty soon, so I wanted to be prepared so I could right off the bat take advantage of the TV by having a game console that can output in 4K. Did manage to pick up a PlayStation camera. I picked this up so I could live stream on Twitch. The address is in the description below. Also kept buying games for the console almost constantly. Transformers, Rise of the Dark Spark, and this is the Walmart exclusive edition that gives you an extra character. Stinger, I do believe he's from one of the movies. If you've played all the Transformers Cybertron games that came out for the PS3 and Xbox 360, this is, I think, the final game in the series. Dinobots!
Me, Grimlock, no like you!
Snag the deluxe edition of LEGO Star Wars The Force Awakens, The Last Guardian, the game that's been in the making for like, I don't know, what, 8-9 years? Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. For some reason, this was exclusive to GameStop. Don't ask me why. Origami, the Collector's Edition. Torment, Tides of Numenera. This is like a pseudo-sequel, maybe even a spiritual sequel to Planescape Torment, which was a really popular PC game that was kind of like a dungeon-crawling type of RPG. Based on that fact, I said I should probably pick that up since I love me a good dungeon-crawling RPG. First time I played this, I was streaming it on my Twitch channel. Was not a fan. It is very slow and very boring. It's just nothing but a bunch of text and a weird story that doesn't make a whole lot of sense and was not the type of thing that you want to be streaming because people are going to be bored out of their minds because I was bored playing it. I felt sad for the people that were watching me, and then honestly, I haven't really streamed since because I had such a bad experience with people like coming and going so fast watching the stream. It kind of turned me off on the streaming thing altogether for a little while at least. Some people find this type of game fascinating and entertaining, and it's just, I'm not one of them. But I did manage to get the Steelbook edition at GameStop. Got the last one they had. Traded in my Mortal Kombat X for a Mortal Kombat XL. Out of all of the DLC characters and extras that you could have bought with Mortal Kombat X, I only bought one character, and that was the Predator. Everything else I was like, I know they're going to be releasing this like special edition all-encompassing version of Mortal Kombat X at some point, and I was right, and this is it. Comes with every mode unlocked, all the DLC characters, which really pissed me the F off because the DLC characters were not instantly available. You had to go and beat the training mode in order to unlock them, which is stupid. Regardless, it's the same great fighting game, same great story that came out in 2015. Haven't bought Injustice 2 yet because I ain't getting fooled again. I'm waiting until the complete version comes out.
Suckers!
Outlast Trinity, which is a trilogy of horror games that are in the first person. And the cool thing about these games is you don't have any weapons to use. The whole concept behind these is to run and hide and escape. I was playing the first one the day that this showed up, and man, it creeped me right the hell out. Nitro Plus Blasters, Heroines, Infinite Duel, another anime-influenced fighting game, but this one is all about the ladies.
Tinashe, where you at?
While I do not find this as good as Under Night, this one is still pretty freaking fantastic. I love the animation, I love the fighting moves, the characters are all really cool, even though some of them are kind of creepy. Got some really weird fetishistic type things going on that I'm not sure is okay. I still don't get the whole French maid thing.
It's just adultery.
It sucks that there's a lot of really great games that in the US are only available as digital downloads, and like I've been saying this entire video, I hate that crap. Overseas is a completely different situation. They seem to get all the ones that are digital here as physical over there. And since the PS4 is region free, why not import them? Which is what I did. Shadow of the Beast. This is a remake slash reboot of the Amiga game, which was developed by Psygnosis. It was completely redesigned from the ground up. Yes, it features a character that looks like the one from the original game. Yes, that game was kind of like a side-scrolling beat-em-up. This one is too. But man, they introduced a combo systems and like these fatalities fatality type moves. It is nuts. Only thing is the game gets really, really repetitive. There's only so many times you can beat up the same enemies over and over again. But graphically, it looks pretty damn good. The music is pretty cool, and it is fun in short bursts. Parappa the Rapper, which recently got an HD remaster, only available as digital download in the US, which ain't gonna fly with this guy. The so-called Fatty Boom Batty of video games, as my brother used to call it. The Sexy Brutale Full House Edition. I originally wanted to pick this one up based on the title alone, because what does that even mean? Turns out that's the name of the casino mansion where the game takes place. It's this weird procedurally generated game of Clue. It's a murder mystery, and every time you play through it, it's going to be completely different. There's a huge cast of characters, there's clues all over the place. You have to explore this gigantic mansion casino thing, and eventually point the finger at who did it. There aren't many games like this available for any of the home consoles nowadays, so I figured this sounded unique enough that I would give it a shot, and this Full House Edition comes with an exclusive booklet and a soundtrack. And strangely enough, PlayAsia, which is where I've been getting all of these imports, has been getting into exclusive titles available only through them, and they've been picking some really strange ones, but I'm not complaining because they're strange in a good way. One of which is Blue Rider, which is a top-down shmup. I'm not complaining. Love my shmups. Managed to get number 996 out of 2,500 available. The limited edition comes with some stickers of some of the ships and the enemies that you fight, the game, and a soundtrack. And the other one was Cursed Castilla. This is an arcade-style platformer beat-em-up, and this too comes with a soundtrack. Never heard of this game. Apparently it is based on an older arcade game, and this is like the remastered version. A lot of fun. I Am 8-Bit, which is where I usually buy my video game soundtracks on vinyl, has gotten into this whole, hey, we've got exclusive games available only through us for the PS4. Randomly one day they're like, hey, guess what? This game's available now if you want it. Get it while you can. And there was like no build up to it at all. It was just like, throw it out there, see who bites. Hyper Light Drifter. I know Church from the Game Grinder was talking about it. I think he said that this was one of the best games he played in whatever year it was that it came out. But since I don't do digital games, I wasn't going to be playing it. I just happened to be online the moment that they announced that it was out and ready to go. So I quickly jumped over to I Am 8-Bit and pre-ordered my copy. It is a very strange top-down platformer where you have the ability to like zip around real fast to jump over gaps, and there's a little bit of a beat-em-up aspect to it too. Very unique, very difficult, sometimes extremely frustrating. Like, I'm trying to figure out where the hell I need to go sometimes. What? Huh? What's happening? The story is really kind of sad. Your main character is like dying, so every once in a while he'll stop and start coughing up blood. It is creepy, but very involving. I like it a lot. And then the rest of these games I got sitting over here, they're all from limited run games. And since I don't know if I actually want to open these or not to play them, I can't describe what the game is like. Sorry. The Swapper, which is a platformer puzzler. Oxenfree, which is a horror thriller adventure game. The Swindle, and the subtitle for it is a steampunk cybercrime caper. Dear Esther, this is the Landmark edition. Basically just exploring in the first person and finding clues to fill out the story. Bit Trip presents Runner 2, Future Legend of Rhythm Alien. Huh? It's basically just one of those games where the screen is constantly scrolling and your character's running and you have to jump over obstacles as they come. Simple. Astabreed, which is a really rad-looking shmup, and I really need to open this up so I can try it. Mitsurugi Kamui Hikei. It's a 3D beat-em-up where you play as a couple of anime girls who whoop the crap out of everything that they come in contact with. Pang Adventures, which reminds me a lot of Buster Brothers. Nova 111. According to the back of the box, it's a sci-fi themed turn-based adventure game with a real-time action twist.
What a twist!
Flint Hook, which is a platformer, and the big gimmick is that you have a hook shot that you can use to swing around the levels and get to different areas that you can't normally reach with your jump. Mutant Mudds Deluxe and Mutant Mudds Super Challenge. These are 8-bit styled platformers that are really, really difficult from what I read. I don't know about you, but I'm kind of getting burnt out on the whole every indie game has to look all 8-bit. Are you? Let me know. Risk of Rain, which is an adventure game with randomly generated environments. And the last one is Darius Burst CS Chronicle Saviors. Another game in the long-running Darius series of shmups where it's all about you versus Robofish. And while these final pickups are for a console I do not yet own, I wanted to pick them up because they would be a little hard to find by the time I get around to getting the console. At least that's my prediction, or at least the version that I have them in will be.
You know what I'm saying?
Puyo Puyo Tetris. This is the Target exclusive that comes with a keychain. Has Been Heroes, which was a GameStop exclusive. And this is the one I am predicting is going to be the hardest to find come a year or two. The Binding of Isaac Afterbirth Plus. And this is the version that comes with like a whole bunch of exclusive stickers inside. Not that I really give a shit, but you know. So that's it. Those are all the games I've purchased over the past few months. What are your thoughts on these games? Leave any comments in the section below. What games did you think I got that were kind of awesome? Which ones you're like, why did you buy that? Which ones do I still need to get? I want to hear from you. So until next time, I am Chris the Old Ass Retro Gamer signing off.